Welcome to another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week is my regular co-host, Kent. Special guest joining me all the way from Taiwan is Shawn. And new to the show, joining us all the way live from the UK, Arrow, a.k.a. EJ Boxing Live. How y'all guys doing this evening?
Good.
Good, man. Great to be here.
Before we get started with the show, I know for those here in the stateside, there's been a lot of kind of distractions, a lot of news going on with the death of suicide of Robin Williams, the passing of Lauren Bacall, and the troubling situation over in Ferguson, Missouri right now following the death of Michael Brown. I hope tonight to give you a bit of a diversion, distraction, if you will, from all the serious news stories tonight. And so with that being said, please join us. Please pay attention to. Please check us out tonight as we talk to sweet science here on the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. For those new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live show / blog / podcast that discusses all things boxing. Our motto is: when boxing is good, we'll talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. The bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, there are two main places you can go. You can go to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report blog page. The link for that is p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. And repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. You can also go to the podcast page. The link for that is p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. And repeat that, p4pboxingreport.podomatic.com. On the blog page, you can find past episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast, as well as blogs written by yours truly. And on the podcast page, you can find all previous episodes of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report podcast on both the blog page and the Pound for Pound page as well. You can find links of where to find us all over social media, on Facebook, on Google+, on YouTube, on Twitter, and the handle to report. I said on Twitter, on Tumblr, I'm on Pinterest. We got a Pinterest board, the RSS feed where you can subscribe to the show. Stitcher feed, because we're now on Stitcher. We're on Stitcher Radio now. Check us out on Stitcher. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Check us out on Stitcher. Listen there. And make sure to write a review and tell us what you think about the show. You can also find a link where you can donate your account. Be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Donate your Twitter account. The link for that is donate your account.com/P4PBoxingReport, and repeat that, donateyouraccount.com/P4PBoxingReport. And what happens is any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter account will automatically have the ability to retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page. But all those homework matters out the way. Let's get the show started tonight, fellas, by doing a recap of the action that went down this weekend. A mixture of good and bad. The weekend, I guess, was headlined by a triple header that went down on Showtime. Met with a lot of scorn as Danny Garcia scored a second-round TKO over Rod Salka. Lamont Peterson stopped at Edgar Santana in 10. And Daniel Jacobs scoring a fifth-round KO over Jarrod Fletcher. Let's talk about this first. Go to the Danny Garcia bout over Rod Salka, and I'll go to you on this one, EJ. Since you're our guest. Look, last week when we talked about the show, we was very sour, to say the least, on the show. We saw it as a bit of a farcical matchup. It showed itself to be that way. With you being our guest tonight, your thoughts on this bout between Rod Salka and Garcia? Do you think it was necessary? Was it needed? Did we learn anything from this bout?
Yeah. Well, the fans, I don't think people learn anything. I think for the people in Danny's campus, that Danny needs a confidence boost, and that's what Rod Salka was. It was something to give Danny a boost after the Herrera, should I say, even though he won, in many people's eyes, lost. And that's all Salka was. Rod Salka was there to give Danny his confidence, show Danny can still do it, even though it was at a catch weight, and Danny came in so much bigger. But Rod signed the contract. He agreed with it. It was a big fight for him, and he said he went out of his game plan. But people think, they shouldn't have fought in the first place, which is true. Should have fought Peterson, but I had no problem with it. Rod Salka signed the contract. I went on Rod Salka's. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he's apologized to his fans, and he said he went off the game plan. But Danny done what he was supposed to do. If the fight went longer, Danny would have got more criticism. And if they move on, I'm happy it's over and done with, and that's it. To be honest with you, there was other things happening in the week. But I watched it, and I had no really big criticism. I'm a fight fan, so I'm going to watch it. and then the day there's a knockout, and Danny gave what the people wanted to see. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I agree with you on EJ. It was basically a bout coming off of his tough fight with Herrera to boost his confidence, to give him a shot in the arm, if you will. I'll go to you on this one. Shawn. Do you agree with EJ's assessment here about the bout? Did you learn anything personally? I didn't. Your thoughts, your assessment of this bout?
Well, it's like I said on last week's show. I mean, sometimes guys just need a fight to stay busy, to get sharp, and get ready for bigger fights that they're going to be having. So I didn't really see a big problem with it. I mean, I do understand why the organization wouldn't let it be for a belt, because in truth, it should not have been for a belt. It was what it was, a 10-rounder, tune-up fight, stay busy. Salka didn't earn a title shot, and he killed by his performance. I mean, Danny just walked through him. And we can't really say he looked good because it didn't last long and he didn't really show anything. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do, and he did it. I mean, even if you're trying to get sharp and stay rounds, I think he could have picked a better opponent that at least would have been able to give him some more rounds.
I'll go to you on Ken. Your thought on the fight and what's next for Danny Garcia? I know there's a lot of people talking about a unification bout with Lamont Peterson. We will talk about his bout in a bit. But in case if that bout doesn't come off, what do you see in the future for Danny Garcia?
Honestly, he did what he had to do. That's all I'm going to say about the fight. He did what he had to do. He knocked out Salka. Good for him. Good that he got his confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's the important thing for him, is to get his confidence. But at the end of the day, I never endorsed the fight. I never supported the fight. But I do understand why he took it, and I'm glad the sanctioning bodies didn't make it a title fight, because it was not a title fight. But he, and just at the end of the day, he did what he had to do. He won the fight. It looks like it's going to be Lamont Peterson, from what I've been hearing. They've been talking about making that fight for the winter. That's what I've heard, the winter for Peterson, Garcia. I mean, if the fight happens, great. If not, I think, personally, Garcia, having to fight at 142 pounds, I mean, tells you kind of that at the end of the day, he may be moving up in weight soon. So we'll see what happens. But if Peterson, Garcia happens, great. I like unification bouts. I said that last week. I like those type of fights. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about it.
Sorry, just interject. They're talking about the Peterson-Garcia fight, but that it would be at like a heavier weight, like 142, 143, which shows that they're transitioning to 147. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's fine since they're both champions and they're both signing off, or do you think they should fight at 140?
Listen. If it's as long as if they fight at 143 and a special, or like 142, 143 and a special attraction without a belt on the line, great. Well, I'm all for those fights.
Yeah,
I'm for either unification bouts or like those type of fights, which are legacy fights, which define your era, define the era you fought in. Those are great. I have no problem with that, as long as there's no bullshit belt on the line. But I have a feeling there will be, because that's how boxing works. Everybody has to have a belt. Everybody has to have a title. Some sort of, there's always some sort of, catch or something to it. But if they fight at 143 without a belt for 12 rounds, God bless them. Go right ahead. Knock yourself out. If you fight at 140 to unify the division, great.
For me, it doesn't matter if it's a belt on the line or not. Shoot, it'd be better off than with no belts on the line, because they wouldn't have to pay no BS sanctioning fees. The bottom line is, for me, the fact is, if they get in the ring, the bottom line for me is the fact that they do get in the ring. That's all I care about. Two good opponents, two good fighters, and it'll be a decent fight.
Yeah, I think it will be a decent fight. It'll be a good fight. It'll be the type of fight that people would want to see. And at the end of the day, that's what the fans want to see. They still want to see good fights. It doesn't matter if there's a belt on the line. They just want to see good fights.
I agree, man. Definitely. Danny's lucky, though, because if he lost the fight, the sanctioning body said it, that if he lost that fight, he would have lost all his belts. even though his belts were on the line. That's what Angel Garcia reported, which was unusual because your belts were on the line. I think they just wanted to punish him. So they had a lot to lose in that fight. So this is when he got rid of Salka real quick.
Yeah, I think I did hear that, and you know. The thing is with a lot of these, like, it's risky, when you take a tune-up like that. And especially if you lose a fight like that, they could just take your belt and say you're not worthy. You're not worthy of being champion anymore. It's not like the old days where you could, not defend your title, lose a fight, but then you could defend your titles in your next fight. It doesn't work like that anymore because the public perception is everything, And I just think, like, it is what it is. If he were to have lost the fight to Salka, which would have been stunningly and just, oh man, it would have been so embarrassing. That's not a way you want to lose your belts. You want to lose your belts defending them in the ring against a worthy opponent.
And speaking of Lamont Peterson, I go to you on this one, Shawn. He fought on this card as well, as I mentioned, scoring a 10th round TKO, over Edgar Santana. To me, Peterson actually looked pretty good. Very good jab in the fight. Used both hands. The uppercut did a lot of damage in his bout. He went to the body very well. He got hit, of course, but that's Peterson's style. A lot of times he'll start off in boxing mode, and then he'll settle down, and then as the fight progresses, he'll fight more and more. Your thoughts on Peterson and how he looked heading into a possible bout with a Danny Garcia?
I agree. I thought he was really good. I mean, the one problem I have with him is that he tends to go inside more than he needs. I mean, I know he really likes it, and he likes to fight inside, and he's a good inside fighter. But when he was using his jab and on the outside and using like some range, he was killing that guy. And I think he could have easily won that fight, and he could have probably stopped him easily, like if he would have just kept fighting on the outside.
In short, he made it a little harder than he needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I understand he's getting in some rounds and he likes to fight in there. I mean, it's like gym wars. I think he's sort of really used to it. And for him, it's probably easier because he's just sort of leaning on the guy and like looking for your little openings to throw your shots off. And because he's smothering the guy, he doesn't feel like he's really feeling his power. And the outside, maybe he's using range and he has to like use a little more legs and a little more energy. But on the outside, I mean, he was killing him. He looked sharp. And when he fights a guy like Danny Garcia, that's how he's going to win. He's going to beat him by using his jab and fighting with angles and movement and throwing his punches. Inside, I don't know if he can take Danny Garcia's power inside the first 3 rounds, because everybody knows Peterson in the first 3 rounds, I mean, his chin is like suspect. After 3 rounds, he's okay, but the first 3 rounds, that guy, man, if he gets touched, he's down.
I'll go to you on this one, Ken. Peterson was destroyed. Well, I'm not going to say destroyed, but let me clarify. He was pretty much destroyed by Lucas Matisse last year. When you look at him post that fight, he looked very good against Santana this past weekend. Do you think he has fully recovered from that loss, from that KO loss to Matisse?
Yes. We would have seen some of that effect against Jerry John, but we didn't. We just seen a guy that was pretty determined, pretty confident in his ability as a fighter. If there's one thing you could say about Lamont Peterson, he's very strong will. He's a confident guy, believes in his own ability. He got caught with a shot against Matisse, because he tried to throw a hook from too far outside. I think if he could do it over again, I think he would box, Matisse very, very effectively from the outside, and I think he would win the fight. I think he would beat Matisse easily in a rematch if he just stuck to his game. He's gonna have to do that against Garcia, and I'm gonna piggyback off of what Shawn said. I think he can beat Danny Garcia. I think he would be the favorite to beat Danny Garcia personally, because he's the better fighter. He's the better overall around fighter. Danny can be outboxed. We've seen that. Mauricio Herrera outboxed him. You know, if Mauricio Herrera can outbox him, Lamont Peterson could probably do about 2 or 3 times better than that. The thing with Peterson is, I think he took a couple more liberties against a guy that wasn't as dangerous.
And a guy who really didn't have no pop.
Yeah, he didn't have no power. Edgar Santana is a tough guy, very durable guy, as you could see. He could take a beating. I had said that last week. So, when he was fighting on the early in the fight with using the jab and countering him, he was very, very effective. Later in the fight, he took more chances, took more risks. He got hit a little bit more than I would have liked him to get hit. But at the end of the day, he got the stoppage. He worked well behind the jab. He really, really ripped up Santana's body. Really did a lot of effective body punching in that fight. And I think, if he's able to do that against Garcia, I don't see why he couldn't win that fight easily.
I'll go to you on this one, Errol. Shawn has made a scenario. Talked about this potential upcoming bout with Garcia. Laid out kind of a blueprint of what Lamont Peterson has to do to win. Ken has made an argument that if Peterson and Garcia would fight, that Peterson is the favorite. Quickly, your assessment on a potential Peterson-Garcia bout, and let me say this: a lot of people will look at this upcoming bout, supposedly going to happen at the end of the year. I know there are early negotiations going on right now as we speak. That based on the fact that Peterson lost to Matisse and how Garcia looked against Matisse in his win.
We're gonna forget
people are going to say that Garcia is going to be just an automatic favorite, but both Kid and Shawn has laid out scenarios in which Lamont Peterson can win this fight. So your assessment quickly on a potential Lamont Peterson Danny Garcia bout, is Lamont Peterson being slept on here?
The fight, that fight there, I don't think that fight can happen. If it does happen, it'd be very interesting. Like Peterson beat Amir Khan, and rematch he didn't get that fight, and Danny Garcia knocked that Khan. That would be, to me, whoever win, even though Lucas Matisse beat out Finn, that would be a great match. But to be honest with you, man, I don't see that fight happening. And if they did, I don't know who's gonna win, because Peterson in that last fight was like a tune-up fight. He was just there to showcase his skills. Danny done the same thing, and if they fight, they're not even gonna fight the same way. To be from that, I'm not really interested. I'd watch the fight, but it's not like they're gonna set alight the division. Like that fight should have happened maybe a year ago. It'd been more exciting. To be honest with you, I don't know who's gonna win that fight. But Peterson brings that body attack, and Danny doesn't. I don't know how Danny's gonna adjust to that. But Danny's got that big left hook. I couldn't tell you who's gonna win in that fight. To be honest with you, to me it's a 50-50 fight. And to be honest with you, I'm not overly interested in that fight. It'd be interesting, but I'm not overly excited about it. So there's not much I can really say about it. I'm not overly interested in that fight, because
so you said
it should have happened. It should have happened. It should have happened this week. So I'm not overly. There's other things happening in boxing. That's not really. I'm not really excited, to be honest with you.
Either you guys want to get follow-up commentary?
See, I could see where EJ's coming from. Definitely, I could see like where a year ago that fight could have made a lot more sense, and I think it could have made a lot more sense a year ago. But you had the fan base, demanding to see Matisse Garcia. People were criticizing Peterson, calling him a cheat, this, that, and the other thing. So there was kind of things going on there that kept them from fighting. Like there was other external factors going on there. I mean, I get where I think a year ago, I think there would have been more interest in it. I mean, I'd still like to see the fight. I mean, because it's two skilled guys, at the top, at their best right now. And they're coming off of really impressive wins. I mean, it'd be interesting to see two guys who, wherever they fight, either at 140 or at a catch weight, they're still top fighters in the division. or at whatever weight they want to fight at. So to me, I'd like to see the fight. If it doesn't happen, I don't think it'll be a major disappointment. I don't think anybody will be like boo-hoo crying, like devastating. No, but it was never going to have that that mainstream hype and appeal, because Danny Garcia and Lamont Peterson are not household names. Boxing fans know who they are, and boxing fans would appreciate that fight. But the problem is, since they're not household names, it wouldn't have the mainstream appeal. But it certainly would have been bigger amongst boxing fans if it had taken place last year. Definitely. I do agree with EJ on that.
Any follow-up comments, Shawn?
I mean, I think it's just natural. Peterson fought Matisse. He got blown out, but we know that he's susceptible to getting blown out early because he's got knocked down lots of times early in his fights. If he would have lasted, it would have been more interesting. And
Lamont's a slow starter. That's the whole thing with that.
Exactly. And we know Garcia had a tough fight with Matisse. Matisse, I got hurt, and then he ended up winning and looking good doing it. So, I mean, Peterson is still in the mix. I mean, styles make fights, and their style would match up well. I mean, when you think of the people that Danny has fought, he hasn't really fought anybody like Peterson. So it would be a curious fight and a good matchup. And I mean, Peterson, as long as he can stay away from that the power early, I mean, he has a very good chance of beating him. I mean, he's a better fighter than Herrera.
Oh, much better boxer, but that's the point. Herrera is probably an A- or B level fighter, and he was able to make Garcia look really bad. I mean, just by basic boxing. That's people. People say, "Oh, well, Herrera is not the most skilled guy." They say he doesn't have skill, but you look at him. He has skill, but he's just slow. He's slower than some of the other guys in the division. But that doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. He knows how to time guys. He's very good at that. And I think when you don't have the speed of other guys, you have to find other ways to win. And usually timing, is one of the best ways to combat, that lack of speed, or that lack of that little bit of natural ability you may not have.
Especially timing with the jab.
Yeah, that's one thing that Herrera's good. Herrera's good at cutting off the ring, and he's good at using the jab, and he's good at just timing shots. He's very good. He's a good counterpuncher. Not great, but he's a good counterpuncher. And I'll tell you, if he was able to do that to Garcia, I can't see what Peterson would do. I think Peterson could do so much better. I think he could win the fight, rather, like not easily, like I was saying before, but clearly he would win the fight. It would be clear if he were to win it, if he were to do that, stay behind the jab, go to the body, he'd win a decision, a clear decision. But what if Garcia catches him while he's still cold with a hook, with a big left hook? And he knocks Peterson out. Then there goes that idea, Then it'll be what if, just like the Matisse fight. What if? And I think that could haunt, Peterson the rest of his career if he were to get into another big fight and he would get caught, knocked out again. That would always haunt him.
And I'll go to you on this last fight of that triple header on this weekend, and I'm gonna go through I want you to go through this pretty quick as you can. Danny Jacobs scored his stoppage over Jarrod Fletcher. I mean, look, first of all, the fact that it was a title shot, it is technically, but he really is not the title holder. He really doesn't have a real WBA title. Let me finish in this case, and this was the case as far as I'm concerned. Jacobs, he jumped on him early and basically steamrolled him to the win and move on to the next.
All I'm going to say is right now that we have 3 WBA middleweight champions. The main man Triple G, who is the super champion. Okay, he's the super champion. We got to get this straight. He's the super champion, which means he's unified belts. Okay, I want to break this down for fans. You got Danny Jacobs, who's the regular champion, and I don't know how you do that. I don't know how the WBA works.
Yeah, I don't even know who the regular champion is, supposedly.
No, he's the regular champion.
Okay.
Danny Jacobs, and then you have an interim champion, and his name is Dmitry Chudinov, who ironically won the interim title the same day that Danny Jacobs won his regular title.
Sanctioning fees, man. Sanctioning fees.
So you're gonna tell me like this is just these guys like Danny Jacobs winning his fight against Fletcher means anything? It means absolutely nothing. It means not a thing because they're not and then he calls out Quillen. That was the kicker. He called out Quillen after he beats the hell out of Fletcher, which we all knew he was gonna do. And let me add that I wasn't necessarily impressed with the way Jacobs did it. I think he let that man off the hook in the first round. He could have finished that fight in the first round, but he let it go another 4 rounds. You know, and listen, Fletcher had no business in that fight. Fletcher was overmatched from the opening bell, and
yep.
And I just don't understand why he left him off the hook in the first round. That fight should have been over in the first round. Absolutely over, but he just let him hang around in over 4, and he got rid of him. Okay, that's the important thing. He knocked him out. But when you have a guy like Billy Joe Saunders, who's a quote-unquote prospect, knocks him out in 2 rounds, and you're like allegedly like a top fighter in the division, and you let him hang around for 4 or 5 rounds before you stop him. Yeah, it doesn't look. That's not a good look.
Yeah, I'll go to you on the EJ. Look, I ain't gonna have too much commentary on the fight. Look, I agree with Kent. He probably should have knocked him out at 1 fight. Shouldn't have went more than 2. I want to talk about the future here. Jacobs calling out Peter Quillen. The question is, will Al Haymon? Do you think this fight will happen? Do you think Al Haymon will allow this fight to happen? That's my question.
Yeah, man. I think that's a good fight. They're both New York kids. You can sell the fight. You know he's not the proper champion. Quillen is the proper WBO champion. I think it's a good fight for him. I think he loses the fight. I wasn't too impressed with the thing. Like Kemp said, he could have finished to do that, but he wanted to put on a show for his home Cape fans. You know, after what he's been through, and he didn't want to let the occasion finish. He didn't want to let the occasion go away, so he made sure he punished Fletcher, and I think it's a good idea. I think Al Haymon will do that. I think it makes sense. Quillen will look at it like, yeah, I'll take him. It's a New York fight. I'll take it. Money in the Barclays Center. It's a good fight, man. To be honest with you, more better competition than what he had, and you can do that fight. I mean, you know, I think Quillen would win the fight, but in the day, Quillen is going to look and say, yeah, that's another payday, a night payday, and that's just another notch in his resume. I think that's a good fight. I'd watch it. I'm interested in that fight, actually.
Any word on this fight, Shawn? You got any commentary for
it? No, just what you guys said. I agree pretty much. You know, I mean, I wasn't impressed with Jacobs. You know, Fletcher came in as an opponent. He fought pretty good. But, I mean, I agree that I thought Jacobs let him off the hook. He should have been able to finish him off early. It just showed that he has issues. And then when he steps up in competition, you know, I don't think he's really the real deal.
No, listen, the point is, at the end of the day, just because he's the WBA regular champion doesn't mean he's the proper champion. He'll never be the proper champion unless he goes in there and gets the proper belt. Yeah. That's just the point of all this. And I think as long as he doesn't fight the proper champion or the proper guys to become, you know, to become one of the big names in the division, no one's going to give him the credit he deserves. And that's the point with Jacobs and Quillen. And that's, you know what, you want to fight between yourselves, that's great, you know, whatever. but it doesn't change the fact that you're probably on the second level as far as middleweights go.
Well, with that being the case, let's move on. That triple header was kind of bad, the bad part of boxing this weekend. Let's move on to the good, and I'll go to you on this one, EJ. Look, I think not to humble brag, I don't want to brag, but part of what makes the pound-for-pound boxing report a little bit different in my eyes, to me, in my opinion, is the fact that we will cover not just a lot of overseas bouts, but we will cover a lot of overseas bouts featuring smaller guys, the mighty mites, if you will. And we should have talked about this last week, but we didn't. But in Mexico, there was a strawweight unification bout between Francisco Rodriguez and Katsunori Takayama. And while we kind of slept on the fight last week, it turned out, really, as far as I'm concerned, to be not just the fight of the weekend, but possible fight of the year. Rodriguez scoring a 12-round decision win. I think the scorecards were a little bit wider than a little bit wide for my taste. But part of the reason you were on the show tonight was you were super pumped up about this fight. I think you shared it with us. You shared it on your channel. You even did some live commentary on your YouTube channel. I want you to give some analysis, talk about this fight, and talk about why it had you so pumped up. Terrific fight, outstanding war, action through and through. Talk about it.
Yeah, man, that fight out there in the strawweight division or the middleweight division, whatever you want to call it, that fight had me pumped up because I've been following Roman Gonzalez's career, El Chocolito, and in his opponents, both these guys have faced him, and it was very interesting on the outcomes of both of them. Like what's his name? How you pronounce his name? Okay.
Takayama.
Takayama. Okay. So Takayama, he basically went in the distance with Gonzalez, and Rodriguez, he got stopped in the 7th round by Gonzalez. Maybe some people think he was attacked too early, but not myself. So the bottom line is they obviously the two of them meeting, right, and both of them having belts, and Yamazama defending his belt for I believe he defended it 3 times, and that was supposed to be 4th defense. And also with Rodriguez, that was his 2nd defense, coming together in a strawweight to unify the belt. This was going to be a great occasion, great fight. Both of them was going to bring it, and it was an epic, great fight. The fight reminded me of, when I was actually watching it, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, in the year 2000, where I was up that night, and they had it on Sky Sports, and I watched it, and that fight was epic, man. It was so good, right? It was so good that basically I uploaded it, and I basically put English commentary. You want to check it out on my channel, EJ Boxing Live. And the fight, the fight just left me in my mouth. That fight, anyone who watched that fight was great. It was a great fight. I think the scorecards, because it was in Mexico, favored Rodriguez, even though there was a knockdown in the fight. I believe there was a knockdown in the fight. Yeah, I think there was a knockdown in the fight.
Third round, he got dropped.
Round, Rodriguez put Takayama down.
He got dropped. But the thing is, with Rodriguez, he was just left hook happy. That's all he was on. He was just looking to knock the guy's block off. And with Yamazama, he's great footwork, moving around, slipping and sliding. Man, the styles blended great, man. I was every minute of that fight, I enjoyed it. But with the scorecard, I only had like Rodriguez by 1 point because I felt like Yamazama, I feel like he came back in the fight. But the fight itself, man, it was a great occasion for the strawweight. I mean, look, the last time I even knew about the strawweight, it was I think his name was Finito. What's his name again?
Ricardo Lopez.
Ricardo Lopez. That's the last time I know about that weight loss. So I haven't been down there for years, yeah. But that fight needs to be promoted. And as you can see, I've asked my poster for the video uploaded. So strawweight champion versus champions, and that fight, what it was 2 champions put it on the line. And to be honest with you, Rodriguez hopefully have another rematch again. We see where Rodriguez goes and see where Yamazama goes. See where he goes. But that was an epic fight, and to be honest with you, you're right, Michael. That could be fight of the year, definitely fight of the week, definitely, for real. I enjoyed it.
I'll go to you on this one, Shawn. If you saw the fight, your assessment of the fight, and I'll actually follow a second question. and you can follow up, Ken, as well to the second part of the question. Why do you think that, well, how can I put this? When you look at boxing, a lot of times the smaller guys don't get the attention and don't get the coverage they deserve. Given this fight, given exciting fighters like Roman Gonzalez, Inoue, really exciting 20-year-old champion out of Japan. The other fighters in that division, in those lower rank, Rung Roy, we talked about, he looks like he's going to be fighting Jermain later on this year. So, should he get his mandatory fight out of the way in September? Talk about this fight and talk about the lack of coverage, the lack of exposure for the Mighty Mites, and what I mean by Mighty Mites, strawweight, junior flyweight, probably up to bantamweight. You really hadn't seen those type of fighters get much coverage since really the 1990s, during the prime days of Michael Carvajal, Chiquita Gonzalez, Too Sharp Johnson, Tapia, Romero, in that ilk, Yuri Abachikov. So talk about the fight on one hand, and secondly, talk about the lack of exposure for the little guys, for the Mighty Mites in boxing.
You know, I think, like you mentioned, back in the day a little bit, they really got a lot of push. Carvajal being an Olympic champion, being the first small guy to make $1 million, and a lot of emphasis got pushed in there. But even then, you know, guys like Ricardo Lopez, TBE, the best ever, Troy Floyd, you know, I mean, guys like him never got nearly as much recognition as he should have, being an undefeated fighter.
He wouldn't be the prime Too Sharp, but hey.
Hey. Being Too Sharp's a little bigger as well. But, you know, these guys, I think because they don't have that one-punch knockout power, a lot of the stuff the heavyweights have traditionally had. You know, in heavyweight divisions, you could be a George Foreman, getting your ass kicked by a younger, good boxer like Michael Moore, and then just land one big punch and boom, it's over. You know, I think the drama, you miss it a little bit at the smaller weights, so a lot of the casual people that don't really watch boxing, it's not something that they're really pulled into, because, you know, usually the fights will go the distance. There's like 100 punches thrown around. It's like really fast paced, hard to really see a lot of the subtleties that are going on. And because most of them are foreign fighters as well. I mean, none of these guys are American, so it doesn't get a lot of the big corporation push, right, from the HBOs and the Showtimes. I mean, right now, I think that division is probably the best division in boxing, or at least three. I mean, talk about depth and great quality of fighters. Like talking about these two guys that fought today and the competition that they fought and how well they did. And still nobody even knows who they are, and this fight went unseen by most people. Like me, I have it on my computer. I just haven't got a chance to watch it yet. But I mean, it's there, the window's open, and I'm going to be watching it today or tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Along with Takayama and Rodriguez, you got Heike Butler, who they are promoting as a kind of the next star in South Africa in terms of South African boxing. You got a division above at 108. You got Inoue, who I mentioned, and then at 112, you got the Roman Gonzalez, who's moving up from 108. He's going to be fighting Higashi, who has a WBC belt. You got Francisco Estrada, Rung Roy, who I said is going to be fighting Jermain. Hopefully at the end of the year, should Rung Roy get past his mandatory in September. I'll go to you on this one, Kent. The fight itself, and with the fighters I mentioned, with the emergence, with the promotion of Jermain by Bob Arum, do you think that while the lower guys don't get the coverage now, do you see the potential for a bit of a sea change here, and the Mighty Mites getting some more coverage?
Maybe. Depends on how, you know, things play out. I think it depends on where the money, you know, is flowing. You know, a lot of the money, you know, is pretty much, you know, circulated in basically in boxing in a few hands, and I think that, you know, Bob Arum is trying to, you know, flow some money into those divisions, but it depends on whether the American public or the Western public buys into it. I think if the American public doesn't buy into it, I believe Bob Arum will make us buy it because he's the type of guy that will push something if the money, if it's there, if the demand is there. And remember, at the end of the day, these cards in Macau, there's listen, Zhu Shiming is the door opener. He's not the end goal. I don't.
Yeah, I was going to actually. Let me interrupt here. I'm glad you mentioned Shiming. Do you think all this, the key for all this, is that Shiming has to win a title? This proposed bout with Rung Roy, it hasn't been announced, but it all depends on how Rung Roy, if he gets by his mandatory. Do you think all the key for this, all of this, that this is incumbent on Shiming having to beat, he has to get the win over Rung Roy should they fight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is big. If they can get Shiming a title, then the door is really open, okay? Let me tell you something. For years, Larry Merchant talked about the market in Asia, and he always said that there's going to be an Asian heavyweight champion of the world. He's always talked about that, and people used to laugh at him. But I used to take what he said, seriously, because when you've been around as long as Larry Merchant's been around, no matter how crazy you think he is, it's usually people like him that usually think outside the box and usually know something that nobody else knows. And I think that this whole thing in Asia, this whole, thing, I don't think the end goal is Zhu Shiming. I think it's bigger than that, and I just don't think we've seen it yet. And I think the big goal will probably be in about 10 years, maybe 15 years, but I think it's all depending on getting Zhu Shiming a belt and opening that market even more.
I'll go to, look, we talked about the bad card last week, and we were talking about this before the show began tonight, and I'll go to you on this one, Errol. For boxing fans, for fans who really follow the sport, the really good card, the really terrific card, took place Friday night in Pittsburgh. Mike Tyson promoted card, and the highlight of that card was Monte Meza Clay scoring a 10-round TKO win over Alan Herrera. Terrific fight. Another fight of the year caliber fight, as far as I'm concerned. Talk about that fight and talk about the card, and talk about the card in general, because to me, when you look at Mike Tyson, he's really forming himself into being a pretty formidable promoter.
Yeah, I agree, man. Mike Tyson understands, that he knows what he wants to see. He knows what he in the ring. Everyone knows about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's all about excitement, and they had him on he was actually doing commentary with the Colonel Bob Sheridan, and he even hyping it up as well. Mike Tyson is like he's like a ultimate super fan, even though he used to fight himself, and he basically put a card together of guys who basically want to come to fight, and the whole card from top to bottom was exciting. There was an exciting young Russian guy people need to look out for, right? And then you're talking about Sammy Vasquez Jr. His fight was exciting, and then the best fight of the card, was the undercard. And you're talking about the Clay fight. That fight there with the little short guy. I mean, when I saw this little short guy, I said, man, he gonna get killed. The guy's got skills. I'm not lying. Like I'm telling you, Henry Armstrong, that guy. I've never seen him before. Right, the guy he was fighting was taller than him, and late in that fight was an out-on-out war. It was an out-on-out war. Like you sit there with your mouth open, you can't believe it. Am I getting this for free? It's not pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? Like that card right there, that card, like I'm talking to Natty and I'm talking to Chris Cabana about it. That card rivals the card with Steve Cunningham and Amir Mansour and what's his name again? What's that guy's name again? Cyrano Johnson and Thingy Stevenson. That's the card that rivals it, because that card there was pretty good over there in I think it's Kathy Duva's card. That card there, them two cards right there, like they weren't pay-per-view. Them two cards are great. But this card here, anyone who's in that fight, that's a must watch Like, everyone's watched ESPN with Teddy. Nah, man. Mike Tyson, anytime Mike Tyson's got a card, from here on now, I don't care where you are, what you're doing, you need to go find it. Because Mike Tyson puts matchups. These fighters come to fight on his card, and it was an exciting card, one of the best cards I've seen so far of the year, hands down. So that was an exciting fight, and I recommend anyone go watch it. So that's what I have to say about that.
Kid, each Arrow mentioned the undercard bout featuring a Russian fighter. His name is Yevgen Khrushchev. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong.
Yevgen Khrushchev.
Yeah, he's 2011 World Amateur Champ.
2012.
2012. Fortunately, he's not a bad fighter. He's a decent opponent, and Khrushchev destroyed him. We've talked about Gilberto Ramirez as a really hot prospect at the middleweight, super middleweight division. Well, it looks like this Russian guy, Khrushchev, he looks to be a guy 25 years old from the Ukraine to have serious potential here.
I think Khrushchev can be world champion. I'm going to tell you right now, that part of that Ukraine right there, I'm going to tell you right now, they have gotten like 7 or 8 fighters since the 2012 games from that team to turn pro. And I'm telling you right now, that kid Khrushchev, that kid is special. I see something in him that tells me he's going to do something in this sport. Like he's a guy that he's an aggressive guy. He comes forward, and he basically wants to hurt you. Kind of reminds me, he has sort of the fighting style like Triple G. Comes forward and just looks to hurt you. But Khrushchev is not as technical. He's just more of a guy that just comes forward, and he's a very strong guy. And the way he destroyed Fortune, blew me away, because Willie Fortune took an 8-round beating from Torino Johnson, and Torino Johnson couldn't even put him down. And Khrushchev knocked him out in 30 seconds. So there's something special there. And I've always said that the next, boxing star is going to come. The next, maybe the next global boxing star may come from that part of the world. And then you're slowly seeing, talent emerge from that part of the world. Slowly, it's trickling down slowly into the Western markets, and it's becoming, it's no longer a novelty. It's becoming a reality that these guys, and they're gonna really make a splash in the Western market. These, like the guys from Ukraine and all those countries around there, Russia, China. I think those are that area is going to produce, like I said, the next global boxing superstar.
I'll go to you on this one, Shawn. Were you able to, over in Taiwan, was you able to see the card, and if so, your impressions?
No, I didn't see the card. I only just heard about it today when we were talking earlier. But yeah, I can look it on YouTube, and I'm sure it's there now.
I'll put it on your Facebook.
Oh yeah. You said you forwarded it to me. I didn't see it.
No.
Let's move on to the new segment of the show. Late Saturday, early Sunday, boxing promoter Frank, Frank Maloney announced that he's coming out the closet, that he's going to be living his life now as a woman. We're going to be referring to himself as Kelly from now on. Later on, he said he's going to go back into boxing and start promoting bouts. I'll go just a round table on this one. Any of you guys can chime in. For me, I saw the news, kind of sent shockwaves throughout the boxing world. For me, ultimately, look, I don't care I really don't care. Whatever makes him happy. Apparently, he's been kind of tormented with this news for years. been living in the closet, been doing a lot of stuff undercover. Ultimately, for me, whatever makes your life happy, dude. As far as I'm concerned, and I hope he finds a bit of peace and freedom, if you will. Now that he's announced that he come out of the closet, if you will, announced that he's going to undergo this sex change. For me, people will say this and that. People will say some commentary. Ignorant people will say this and that. But for me, look, let the man live. I know Lennox Lewis gave a very compassionate response Sunday afternoon, I believe it was, either Sunday afternoon or Monday on his Twitter account. But for me, any of you guys can chime in. It ultimately makes no big difference for me. Your guys' thoughts?
I thought Lennox Lewis' statement was really classy. I also thought Dwyer on YouTube came out with a good video and put things in perspective very well. You know, we're here to watch boxing. People's personal lives, I think, as long as it's not illegal and doesn't affect anybody, I don't see the issue. I mean, if he's happy and that's what he wants to do or she wants to do, Kelly, then that's fine. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't bother me at all. And if she wants to get back into promoting, if she puts out good fights, I'll be as happy as anybody. I mean, as far as her own issues, I mean, that's something that she has to deal with and something that she has to live with. And if she's happy with it, then that's cool. I mean, it doesn't affect me at all. I live in Taiwan, and what people do all the way in the UK as far as sexually or to their own self, whether it's boob enhancement, nose jobs, or anything else that they want to do, how does it bother me and why does it bother me?
Any of you guys chime in? Want to comment?
Yeah, listen, I don't care. Just, like, as long as it's not affecting anybody, as long as you're not in there, like, hurting somebody or doing something to ruin somebody's life or, you know. And if you're doing it because it makes you, you know, if you feel like, you know, there was pressure on you and you were living a lie and you don't want to live that lie anymore, you know, whatever. You know, if it makes you feel better, great. You know, I felt the same thing when Orlando Cruz came out of the closet. I was like, whatever. You know, if that makes you, if that's who you are and you want people to know that, you know, I mean, I would have chose different words to describe, you know, when you know, if I was to do that, you know, speaking of Orlando Cruz, I mean, you know, the words he used were a little, you know, little interesting, but, you know, I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, if that's who you are and you don't want to live a lie and you want to, you know, not feel the burden of hiding something, then go right ahead, you know. And I noticed recently a lot of, you know, I think, like I said, when Orlando Cruz came out, I said it's going to open a door for a lot of people in boxing and whatnot, and we're starting to see that a little bit, you know. Some people are not as afraid to admit who they are anymore, and you know, God bless her. If she wants to go and become, you know, be who she wants to be and promote and do whatever, good, great. As long as it's not affecting anything, and as long as you're not airing your personal dirty laundry in the public every time you're seen, I have no problem with it.
What drives me crazy is other ethnic and you know, religious people coming out with such hate and such intolerance. You know, I mean, people always moan and groan about how they're hard done by and how they're not accepted in society, and their trials and tribulations that they have to deal with regarding whatever their situation may be. But then these same people come out and they lambaste and jump all over and push such hate towards this man, which I don't see the point. I mean, you know, like, everyone needs to live together and everybody wants to be happy. We don't need such hate and intolerance in the world anymore. Hopefully we have learned from the past, but I mean, you know, in some cases I just don't see it. The ignorance I heard on YouTube was ridiculous.
Well, you know what? You got to realize that people on YouTube hide behind accounts. They wouldn't say half the stuff they would say to that person in public, even if they claim they would. They wouldn't. It's just their, you know what it is? It's easy for you to be anonymous and say stuff that, you know, say stuff without, you know, without any fear of, you know, repercussion. But they would never do it in public. They would never publicly say what they say on YouTube.
Your thoughts, Arum?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I live over in the UK, live in London, and the news when the news hit, come like lightning thunderbolt down on people, especially because Frank Maloney's history with he's a very controversial figure. You know, he meant over you guys know he managed Lennox Lewis, and for him to come in, he's an alpha male, like we call it over here, Jack the Lad, or in America you might call it Billy Badass. He's a go-getter. You know what I mean? He's a real aggressive negotiator, and he didn't really care who he ruffled feathers as long as he got what he wanted. And for someone, you know, to hold on to that burden to the point where he was actually committing suicide, like to me, I look at the pictures of him. You know, he calls his name now as Kelly, and he looks much happier. He looks very peaceful. And you know, for me, the reason why I felt he came out is because, you know, someone could have sold the story to the local newspapers, and also for people going through the same sort of thing. I think he's the ambassador kind of thing for people dealing with them sort of things. You know, instead of just holding on to this, lay out and be and like everyone said on the panel, you know what I'm saying, let live, and if he's happy with it, no problem with that. Now we hear he wants to continue to be the first female boxing promoter, female boxing promoter to promote a heavyweight champion. So that's his goal. That's her goals right now, to try and do that. It's very interesting to see how the boxing community is going to receive him. The thing is, yeah, like I said to you, I'm echoing something.
Yeah, you got a bit of an echo. You might have the YouTube link up or something, and you might have to close that out.
I don't think it's me though. I don't think it's me. Okay, it's not me.
Go on and I'll just fix it later.
Yeah. Echoing something. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize for that.
Yeah, too. I just don't know where it's coming from because it's not me.
Where's it coming from?
Do not.
Kemp is you, Kemp. You, Kemp. I can see that. I can see the volumes going up. I ain't you. Someone else does.
Yeah. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but keep going on, and I'll try to fix things before I put the podcast up.
I think you might have a YouTube thing window open of the thing. There you go. Good man, Shawn. Yeah, we're Shawn. There you go. All right. So where was I? I was saying, yeah, over in the UK it was a big shock, whatever, and basically it was interesting to see how he's going to do as a promoter now, trying to promote that and see how the boxing community are going to receive him. So he kept laughing his head off. How the boxing community are going to receive him. So with that, from that point onwards, we see who's gonna sign with him and whatever. Because the thing is, yeah, the reason why he left boxing in the first place is because he was stressed. One of the boxers had suicide. Basically, he lost the fight, whatever, and he was from Ireland, and he hanged himself. And also, one of his last fighters he had was David Price, and he lost it against Tony Thompson, and he looked very shattered by that. So boxing kind of finished him off that way. So I don't know why he want to go back there, but we're interested to see. But live, let live, as far as I'm concerned. And so, if that's what his goals are, her goals are, so whoever makes her happy, I'm fine with it. Like everyone said, it didn't affect my life, so more power to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on and talk about some more news. News broke yesterday, I believe it was, that Sam Soliman, new IBF Middleweight Champion, he's going to be fighting Jermain Taylor in October. And I'll say it right now, and Shawn, you maybe cut your mic up back on because you may be. Are you still muted?
No.
It's muted on my end, so still an issue with you, Shawn.
Sure, you got.
Until we get,
It's just, you got a YouTube window of the pound for pound on your YouTube, so that's probably why it's echoing.
Yeah. Until we get that resolved, I'll go to you on this one, kid. I'll make it right now. I'll make a note right now. I don't like this fight one bit. I think the bout should not happen. Look, Jermain Taylor was told years ago by doctors that he should not be fighting, yet he still is. And not only is he's still fighting, he's being rewarded with a title shot. Am I being over the top here by us being so against this fight?
No, this fight should not happen. I'm sorry. First of all, Jermain Taylor's had one fight in like, I don't know how long, like 3 years. And that was a knockout over a equally faded and shot J.C. Candello. And I think, and I'm going to just say right now, Sean Newton's being a troll. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing right now. Just so you know. He just said Taylor by 6-round KO, and I don't think he even believes that himself. But yeah, I just don't. How could you have one fight in 3 years and get a title fight? That's what I want to know. Well, now I remember why, because Jermain Taylor's with Al Haymon. That's why. Now I remember. And I just think it's a disgraceful title fight. Shame on you know, all parties here for even, you know, going into this ridiculous fight. I'm not against, you know, anybody making money. I'm not against Jermain Taylor making money, you know, and I'm not even against Sam Soliman making money. But this is not a title fight. This is another example of a fight that should not even have a title on the line. If you want to fight, fine. Just don't put the title up, because this is just as bad as, you know, that fight we just had, Garcia and Salka, just as bad. You know, the only difference is Taylor, you know, had one fight and he's allowed to, you know, he's basically allowed to have a title opportunity. He shouldn't even be fighting personally, but you know, that's whatever. So I don't know what else to say about the fight other than it shouldn't be happening. Soliman will win, I think, and you know, hopefully this will you know, end the Taylor saga. Hopefully, but I just don't see why this fight should be happening. There's no reason to.
I went out of pocket here with our comments about this fight, EJ.
Yeah, I think you both are. I think at the end of the day, like, you got people like Bernard Hopkins. I know he hasn't been knocked out or anything like that, but Bernard Hopkins lost twice to this man, Jermain Taylor, and Sam Soliman and Jermain Taylor.
Yeah, but how many years ago was that? How many years ago was that?
Let me finish what I'm saying, though. Like, the both of them, what I'm saying to you is that Jermain Taylor ain't got nothing left, and Sam Soliman's going to lose. The both of them, to be honest with you, have got a second chance in boxing. And they're both, like, Jermain Taylor's like one fight away from just being completely out of the game. And Sam Soliman's going to probably lose in his next fight. So the wrong, you could market that fight, and you know none of them's going to really get hurt. Sam Soliman doesn't really hit that hard. Jermain Taylor's punchy. To be honest with you, I want to see if Jermain Taylor can turn back the clock and try and get the. I think Jermain Taylor could probably win this fight. He should do. He's got the reach and everything. He's got the advantage, but he can't take punches. And Sam Soliman's is awkward enough to give Jermain Taylor. It's okay fight. I mean, it's not no fight. No one's going to get hurt. Sam Soliman, he wasn't supposed to get the belt from Phoenix Stone. He wasn't supposed to get that belt. They shouldn't even be. They should be there. If Al Haymon could, because Sam Soliman, this is a voluntary defense, and they've took the fight. I don't blame them, because they got the mandatory. Who's the mandatory waiting for him? If someone hard, he's going to lose the belt. So why not try and make a payday off a guy who used to be the former undisputed champion who beat Bernard Hopkins? You can sell it that way, but for the boxing purists, yeah, I can see why you guys don't like it. But to me, I have like all these aging guys over here fighting, To me, it's like when Ray Robertson was fighting. It's like, man, you don't want to see Ray Robertson fight no more. Muhammad Ali, but we're gonna watch it. That's the way it is. Like, we're gonna watch it. You don't know, he might get a belt. Jermain Taylor might get a belt again and become a champion again. And Sam Soliman might beat Jermain Taylor and have a name on his resume. It's a win-win situation for them two, not for boxing. You know what I'm saying? So, in the day, for the purists, I can understand if they don't watch it. But me, I'm interested to see the outcome of that fight. See if Sam Soliman can try and get a marketable name on his thing, like he got, like when he beat Phoenix Stone, and Jermain Taylor. See if Jermain Taylor can try and get a belt back again. No, because he can't get a belt in any other division. This is the easiest title shot he will ever get a chance at, as far as I'm concerned. So, to be honest with you, like, I'm interested in the outcome. And it's not like Soka's never been a world champion. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is Jermain Taylor has beat Bernard Hopkins twice. It was years ago, granted, and he's been knocked out since loads of times. Yeah, but the man wants to continue his career. They've got a shot. Whether how he got it doesn't matter. The bottom line is just the way things are, man. I'm interested. I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, all right.
It doesn't concern.
I'll correct myself. Let me correct myself real quick. Let me correct myself real quick. Jermain Taylor had 4 fights before this, and he's won all 4 of them. Okay, but at the same time, who has he really beaten to get a title fight? I mean, I get that he.
Who did
Solomon's allowed?
Solomon beat to get a title shot against Stern?
What was that, EJ?
Who did Sam Soliman beat to get a title shot at Stern?
He beat the guy.
Let me look it up right.
He beat Lorenzo, from what I remember.
Who's that?
For the eliminator.
No, they shouldn't be there. That's what I'm trying to say to you. They shouldn't be where they are.
Well, maybe not. So
the bottom line is, if they're gonna fight and they can make money, more power to them. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere Sam Soliman goes, he's probably gonna lose in his next defense. Jermain Taylor is 1 fight away from being knocked out. Why not try and make some money? Right,
well, that's fine. Well, if they want to make money, great. Yeah. They want to make money, but I just don't think it's a title fight.
Yeah, he's a champion. Why wouldn't it be a title fight? I don't understand why he's won the belt. This is a voluntary defense against a guy who's got a name. He's trying to get a name on his resume. Why not?
But it doesn't concern you at all that Jermain Taylor probably shouldn't be fighting, and he's been advised not to fight to risk further damage.
No, he should be fighting. Chad Dawson should be fighting. There's loads of fights. Evander Holyfield done. They had to root him out to stop him from fighting. Roy Jones shouldn't be fighting. I can keep going down the list. They are. And then the bottom line is people, they're still going to continue to fight. Roy Jones will probably get another shot at the cruiserweight, get a shot at the cruiserweight champion. They're going to fight, yeah. And then the day, stylistically, even though Jermain Taylor is punchy, Sam Soliman is not noticed as a big puncher. How can he's got pillows in his hands? I can't see Sam Soliman knocking out Jermain Taylor. It could happen, but Jermain Taylor could knock him out. It's about 50. That's as 50-50 you want to get. It's a fight compared to the fight we were talking about. It's so down the levels of scale of exciting fight you want to see. It's a low down fight, but it's a fight. He's a champion. And to be honest with you, I'll watch it. Like the belt should be on the line because he's champion. And then they give the man due. He beat Phoenix Stone, who beat Darren Barker from over here, right? He busted up Darren Barker, right? And now he was on his last legs. Remember that? Phoenix Stone was on his last legs when he went against Darren Barker. He wasn't supposed to win. And look what he did to him. Darren Barker wasn't supposed to beat Gil. You see what I'm trying to say? You see where this is going? It's like they're just trying to make money off of the division where you got people like Triple D.
So you're basically This is the way I see it is, if they're gonna fight, let them fight. But personally, Soliman is a hypocrite because number one, he was talking about fighting the winner of Triple G and Gil, and then all of a sudden he changes his mind and he wants.
Smart, yeah, what? Yeah, because why? Because he's gonna lose the belt in the next defense. It's like Sakio Bika. He's fighting Jarrell. Everyone thinks he's gonna lose. Oh, it's bloody Sakio Bika.
Bika's gonna win the fight.
Yeah, well, I hope he does as well. But a lot of people think other ways, yeah. But this is what boxing's about. Like, interesting. Not saying like you guys are overly interested, but these guys, Jermain Taylor shouldn't be in the ring. Sam Soliman shouldn't be a champion, but they are, and they're gonna meet. I have no problem with them trying to make money for them and their families and trying to think, man. I'm alright with it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that their next fight could potentially be their last fight. Why not make a payday? He's the champion, and why not? Why not? You got hard Sam Soliman scratch to get the title. Jermain had everything given to him from birth, like coming from Arkansas. Look, unified, undisputed champion. I beat Bernard, a legend like Bernard Hopkins. He can't. That's probably the biggest thing ever in his resume, to beat him twice. He's never gonna click that again.
You know what? Discussing Jermain Taylor's middleweight reign would you know, it is a completely different can of worms. I'm not gonna even go into that.
Listen, I'm not gonna say his title reign is the best title reign ever in the middleweight division. I'm not gonna say that. People like Corey Spinks and going against Winky Wright, but and fights he arguably lost. You can make a case. Yeah, you're right. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, he got through, and then Pavlik came and took him, and that's how boxing goes. But at the end of the day, what you can't take away from him, right? Whether he beat
he was undisputed champion.
Exactly. He beat Bernard Hopkins. And that's it, and that's probably going to be his legacy.
That's probably the reason why Solomon's taking the fight, because he could say at the end of when he's old and gray, that I beat the former undisputed middleweight champion.
That's what I'm saying to you, and that's what it comes down to. And then again for Jermain Taylor, he can say again he got the belt for a 4th time. So let them fight. I have no problem with it. Let them fight. There's nothing. Look. You're in a prize fighting game. You're in there to make money. Right, you get belts, fine, that's never gonna go away. But you're in a check, man. That fight he can pull a lot of money. I don't know where the fight's gonna be, but where's the fight gonna be? By the way, you know?
They're talking about either Florida or Connecticut.
Oh, it's gonna be in America. Wow, I thought it'd been in Australia or Germany where you can make more money there. But
I don't think Haymon would have Taylor fight in Australia.
Okay. So they're probably gonna do it maybe Arkansas or somewhere. Exactly. So they're gonna put it in where. Because look, Soliman could make no money where else. He can't sell out. So they're gonna
this fight will probably end up I don't know. Huh?
Wherever the fight is, I'm interested to see what happens in that fight. You know, I really am, because Jermain Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why you'd be interested.
Because you know, I want to look at it's like their last shot of making money. It's their last shot of the dice. You know what I'm saying? So. Hopefully they both come out safe, and one says he's going to retire.
I hope Taylor comes out of the fight safe the most, because...
Yeah, but you know Sam Soliman doesn't hit that hard. I mean, look, it's not like overly, oh man, I've got to watch it. It's like, okay, that's on the card, I'll watch it. But I'm not sad.
No, you're right. Like, Soliman ain't going to, hurt anybody. But
so it's like, I'm not sad or thinking, these guys should be in the ring. I'm like, man, look, I taught the boxing beats around. He put me straight a long time ago. How come when Roy Jones was winning, everyone's loving it? Now he's losing, everyone jumps off the bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? Why we're fans, you're fans to the end. You're gonna follow their career until it's done. When Ray Robertson was losing, I talked to Dr. Fernie Pacheco, and he was there in the corner of being the doctor of Ray Robertson. He was just happy to be in the corner. He was such a legend. You know what I'm saying? And this way it is. We, when in the last legs or the last fight, we try and treat them with respect. We have a way of saying they're a bomb, they shouldn't be in the ring. You know what I mean? I have more respect.
Listen, I'm not stopping them from fighting. I can disagree with the fight and say, I don't like the fight.
I just think boxers need to be treated more respect than they want to.
No, I respect Soliman. I respect Taylor. I just don't agree with the fight. But whatever.
I agree with you. Look, see, that's what I'm saying. This is the thing about boxing, partner. If you don't want to see it, like Danny Williams, he fought a Russian dude on his debut, and the Russian dude beat him as a 4-rounder. Another guy, Patrick Mendy, fought another guy who might be a middleweight contender. He lost. These guys are from the UK, by the way. They fought over there in Russia because they can't get no fights over in England. And this is what it is, man. Boxing's a hard man sport. End of the day, when you have great success, it's great. But when you're losing, it's like, no, everyone wants to jump off the bandwagon and call you a bomb and this stuff. I'm not saying none of you guys are, but I'm just saying to you, end of the day, I watched Ray Jones beat Courtney Friday the other day. He looked good, but I know that if he messes with any of my other cruiserweight contenders, like Ola Falabi or Marco Hook, he in trouble. But that's what it is. Eventually, he's probably gonna get a shot at him because he keeps winning, and that's the way it is, man.
Excuse me, I gotta address something. I don't mean to interrupt. Normally, I don't pay attention to chats in YouTube while we're doing the show, but I'm sorry. I've just been reading some nonsense that don't make no sense, and I have to call it out. I don't know who this person is, But
what's his name? Call out his name. Let's make an example.
I would have to go on the. I have to go onto the YouTube link, and give me a quick second while I do that. But there's a guy on YouTube making some ridiculous assertions here. It has to be called out. Bad enough, and I'm gonna get his name right quick. Let me get it pulled up. That this guy is claiming that Canelo Alvarez is the #1 fighter in the world, pound for pound.
Hey, Shawn.
Secondly,
we would ignore this, but this is the dumbest comment on planet Earth.
Absolutely. But secondly, what's this guy's name? Canelo, the man, the myth, TBE. Not only is he claiming that
he's a troll.
Canelo Alvarez, he is a troll, because I don't appreciate it. You trolling me like this in the middle of my show. Not only is he claiming Canelo Alvarez is the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, he had the audacity, the nerve, the unmitigated gall when I said that Canelo is good for pound. Nah, he responded by claiming that Canelo Alvarez can beat Andre Ward. Normally, I let stuff like that go, but I take offense to trolling my show like that. I find it rude. It's wrong. It's ridiculous. Say something like that again, I might have to use the block button as my friend. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Continue on, EJ.
Yeah, I was saying to you, like, I've been like that before until I started interviewing boxers myself and boxers on the slide. I interview boxers of all things. When boxers are high, like I interviewed Deontay Wilder. I interview boxers like Vivian Harris, who people say he should retire, but the doctors in the UK said he medically was unfit to fight. He had a shadow in his brain, and he went over to Mexico and fought Hugo Páez Jr. and ended up appointing him in Mexico. So I've been more spectrum of the fight. It gives you an overall respect for the fighters, what they put in, because I wouldn't do it. If someone told me I had a shadow in my brain, I wouldn't get in the ring. In fact, I wouldn't get in the ring full stop. So my perspective is slightly different. I'm like, well, he made the medicals, he's in shape, he shouldn't be, maybe he should be in the ring. But, you know, end of the day, this is how he wants to live his life, and if he wants to live his life and fight for what he believes in, then they go ahead.
Wait a second, they told Vivian Harris he couldn't fight?
Yeah, in the UK, he was supposed to fight Bradley Skeet, and basically, that they had a medical week before he landed a week, and they checked his brain. As they scanned his brain, they said they saw a shadow, and the British board didn't want to do anything, because what happened with Michael Watson is that Michael Watson, they got sued, and that they nearly, that was nearly the end of the British board, so they didn't want to take no risks. But Vivian Harris, I was talking to him all through that process. The reason why is because I interviewed him previously, and Vivian Harris was telling me that I was going to be one of his entourage actually coming to the ring. Because actually I was going to be down there escorting him down to the ring. It wasn't a big thing for me. When he told me that the fight's not happening, he was supposed to be in the copper box on the undercard of Derek Chisora's fight, I was very upset. But I mean, like I said, he bounced back like with about 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and he's fighting in Mexico against Jorge Páez Jr.
And he beat him.
Outpointed him. Yeah, outpointed him clearly.
This is the thing now. I believe this is why I've always said, like, to an extent, like, unless it's absolutely obvious, if you have a national commission, they can stop anybody they want from fighting for any multitude of reasons, even with about the brain.
I think Shawn,
but yeah, I mean, if somebody, that's subjective. What the British board is saying. That's subjective. Have they produced any proof that he had a spot?
It's echoing, man.
Yeah. Sorry. Mike, Shawn. Go on.
What are you saying, Chep? What are you saying again? Oh, what they did, they tested, they scanned him, and when they scanned him, they said there's a shadow. They weren't too sure what it was, and he wanted a second advice, but it was too late in the week for them to do that. But when Vivian did, when he got back to America, he went through multiple scans and checks, and they didn't find anything. So, but in England, he said Frank Warren, they just done it on purpose because they knew he was going to beat their fighter, and he was probably right. But the bottom line is that, in the day, America has the best medical facilities in the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Everyone from other countries come to your country.
Yeah, but the funny thing is about Vivian Harris is he had just fought in the U.S. and he had fought in Philadelphia and he was allowed to fight.
And exactly, that's what I'm trying to say to you. So he was saying, right, because I interviewed him, that they done that because they knew who could beat Bradley Skeet. Because
They probably did. There's so many underhanded things you can do to stop a fight from happening.
Yeah, exactly. Because when they brought him over, they thought, okay, maybe he's on a slide, but they realized he was ambitious. They thought he was gonna knock off their fighter, and they just thought, because Bradley Skeet, right over here, basically English fighters, they have to sell their tickets to the fans, and he sells a lot of tickets. So the promoter makes a lot of money. He doesn't care about the fight. The guy sells a lot of tickets, so in that respect, if Vivian Harris knocks him off, then boy, the promoter's not gonna make that much money. So, that's what happened, man. That's what he said, and I feel the same way. You know, but anyway, he beat Jorge Spice. He's gonna have a rematch again against Jorge Spice. They want to have a rematch actually to see it again. So he's over there gonna go over in Mexico and over there. And this is what I'm talking about with Jermain Taylor, continuing fighting his career. You know, I talked to the Galaxy Warrior again, Nate Campbell. I talked to him how he can't get a fight. No one wants to fight him, so he has to promote his own fights because no one wants to fight him because he's a danger man. Pacquiao was supposed to fight him instead of what's that guy again? David Diaz. He was the linear champion of the division. Pacquiao didn't want to fight him. Pacquiao didn't want to fight the Galaxy Warrior at the time.
No, because when Nick Campbell was in his prime, he was very dangerous. Look what he did to Juan Diaz.
Yeah, he waited to Juan Diaz, and Pacquiao didn't fight him, so they picked the easy champion, beat David Diaz, and this is what happens.
One of the weakest lightweight champions ever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also helped it didn't help Nick Campbell out that he gave Pacquiao a bit of a pass because he's messed around and not making the weight. So.
Yeah. But what I'm saying to you is that some fighters, even though they're too good for their own good. Like when you look at the Archie Moore scenario, and you think, well, look how long it took to give him a title shot. Some fighters, even though they say they're old, they're reported they're old. If you actually talk to the fighters, they tell you a different take. Like we're saying, Jermain Taylor, by right, should even win against Sam Soliman. Sam Soliman should win that fight, but we don't know. And it's not a fight like, oh, Kim, you get ready for it. Michael, Shawn, yeah, let's go watch that fight. No, but we're gonna report about it because it's a fight and it's on the card. We're talking about. I'm not sad about these fighters. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna see what happens, man. I'm gonna see what happens. You know, Fernando Montiel's another fighter. Should be fighting. He got knocked out. He still continue his career. Hopefully, he might get another title shot. I'll be interested to see about Quigg and
Jorge Arce. They say he's not supposed to be fighting either.
Exactly. I'm interested to see if Arce, because you know what it is. It's like the old Rocky story. Guys on their last legs. They're not supposed to do anything. Can they come back? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. It's all right talking about guys on top of the game.
It's times they said Johnny Gonzalez was done.
Yeah, that's another one. Johnny was supposed to go in against Abner Morris. You know what I'm saying? So, about Pacquiao would have kicked the Galaxy Warriors' ass. I don't think so, Shawn. I don't think so.
Pacquiao may have won, but I don't think he would have kicked his ass.
I don't think he would have won. I don't think he would have won. Galaxy Warrior is too tricky, bro. But that's another opinion. It never happened, so we don't know. But Pacquiao should have fought Indian Chi. That's who he should have fought. He should have fought Indian Chi back in the featherweight division. That's the guy I would have loved to see, bro. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead, Mike.
Let's move on to talk about the preview and start to close down the show. Preview was going to be happening this weekend. Last week, the Showtime card was not good at all. This card on Showtime this week, this triple header, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be very good. One of the better cards of 2014. Headlined by Shawn Porter, making the second defense of his IBF welterweight belt against Kell. Brook, a fight I'm really looking forward to on the undercard of that. Omar Figueroa fighting Daniel Estrada, defending his lightweight belt, and Sakio Bika fighting a rematch with Andre Durrell. The fight is for Bika's super middleweight title. In this fight, I'll say this, that I think there's a potential for all three fighters. I think there's a potential for an upset in all three fights. Let's start off by talking about Porter and Brook, and I'll go to you on this one, Shawn. You over there in the UK right now, joining us live. A lot of talk about this bout. Brook, I'll say right now, 2 years ago, I thought he was going to be a world champion. Fought Carson Jones, didn't look great. He rebounded and got the rematch in the win. He dominated him in 8 rounds. But Porter, with his win over Alexander, with his destruction over Malignaggi, he's riding a real wave of momentum right now. Porter looks to be the favorite, but even though he is the favorite, I still think personally that Kell Brook has a heck of a shot to win here. Your thoughts on this bout, and I know it's not necessarily fair to ask you the perspective of the entire UK populace opinion here, but the thoughts from your part of the world on Kell Brook's chances in this fight with Shawn Porter. You there with us, Arum?
Oh, you're asking me? Yeah. Sorry, I had myself on mute. All right, yeah. I mean, yeah. All right, listen, mate. Kell over here. I mean, he's from Sheffield. I'm from London. But the consensus is, from what I hear, a lot of people backing him. A lot of people think Kell's gonna get knocked out by Shawn Porter. They just can't say. They have the consensus is he's gonna get knocked out. I mean, end of the day, Kell should have had a fight against Devin Alexander. Would have been easier for him. But against Shawn Porter, people think he's going to get flattened. It's just the way it is. The only one who believes in Kell is probably his promoter, Eddie Hearn, who's been beating the drum saying we should all get behind him. But the fans are telling him, English fans are not stupid. We're telling him he's probably going to get knocked out. And everyone's judging it by the Carson Jones performances, especially the first one. The second one, he made sure Kell came in overweight. He was like 154. I talked to Carson Jones on that second fight. Carson Jones came in at round 147 that time. And Carson Jones was actually smaller and he ended up getting stopped. Carson Jones had a problem with his trainer. He had visa problems the second one. And that's why he stopped. That's why he told me anyway. I believe him. He took the fight regardless, right? He's also with his girlfriend. But his girlfriend must have cheated on him with some guy in the hotel or something like that as well. So he had a lot of issues going into that fight. Not making no excuse, he lost. But in the first fight, if look the way Carson Jones fought him in the first fight, Shawn Porter's better than that. And in America, he's not even known. So anyway, on that fight, and then also we have Deontay Wilder fighting in that fight, and that guy he's fighting was in the prize fight who beat James Toney, which is when I went down to the prize fight up. That guy actually beat James Toney in the prize fight up. Even though James Toney not some guy out in there. That guy's okay. You should be interested to see. He looks durable. He's not going to be trying to get knocked out. But Deontay Wilder better mind out. That guy's not coming to lose in that. Well, he's not coming to get knocked out, is that? And then what else we got on that card? Lindell Rose. I interviewed Lindell Rose. Is Lindell the Hackman Rose henchman? No, his fight card's not going to be he's not going to be a televised card. But he's signed by Al Haymon, and he's a lightweight, a 140-pounder. You guys need to watch out for him. I actually talked to him, looking to interview him after the fight as well. He's very, very excited about it. He's looking to make waves in the lightweight division. So you guys, Lindell, the henchman, is it henchman? Or the Hackman, Lindell, the Hackman Rhodes. That's his name. He basically Charlie Zederoff. You know Charlie Z? When Floyd Senior was
the mental case.
Yeah. You remember the guy jumped in the ring and started beating him up after he.
Listen, Lydell, listen. And I remember when he hit Floyd Senior, Lydell jumped in the ring and beat the floor.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. So he's from same place as
Carson Jones is from Oklahoma.
Yeah. He's fighting in the thing. So he's been signed by Al Haymon. So he's fighting on that card. And who else we got in that card? Deontay Wilder.
You got Lydell Rhodes. You got
Linares going to be fighting on that card. Luke Campbell's going to be fighting on that card as well.
Omar Figueroa is fighting on the card. And also you have some English guys over. You have Callum Smith. You have Andy Collar. I think is Andy Collar? No.
Callum Smith. Luke Campbell.
Yeah, Luke Campbell. Yeah, Smith. You see Smith now. Like Smith, he knocked that Mendy. Patrick Mendy, like I said, Smith. People are hyped by him. I don't think he's that good. He's just too tall for the weight. People believe he's gonna do anything. But Luke Campbell's Olympic gold medal. Now, to be honest with you, his performance hasn't looked too good in his performance for some reason. I don't know if it's because of the weight, but it's interesting to see how they do in their American debut. So them fights are fighting. It's a big fight over in the UK. It's gonna be screened here. It's going to be shown here on Sky Sports. So
Fabian Maidana is on the card too.
Who?
Fabian Maidana.
Who's that?
That's Marcos Maidana's younger brother.
Is he? How long has he been fighting for?
This is his second pro fight.
I should be interested. Well, that's interesting, man. That should be a good fight. And Golden Boy Gold, it's a good card, man. Oh yeah, we forgot about the thingy. Come on, how can we forget about the Jarrell and Sakabika fight? Right,
yeah, I mentioned that we gonna get to that later.
Oh, my bad.
I was gonna break down each fight, you know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
Thoughts, Kent, on the fight between Porter and Brook?
I think the UK fans are gonna love me on this one, and I'm going with Porter by stoppage.
Yeah, man.
I think it'll be a competitive fight. I think it'll be an exciting fight, but I just think that Porter's gonna wear down Brook and stop him late. I just can't get over the fact. Like I look at both of these guys. Brook has momentum, but he had a hiccup, against, Carson Jones. And that's the one thing that I can't get past, because the thing that gets me with Brook is he doesn't look comfortable fighting off the back foot. That's the thing with him. I think he's a good fighter. I'm not discrediting him or discounting him in this fight. But I just think Porter, if Porter's able to get started quick and get him on the back foot, I think he's gonna stop him. I think he's gonna chop him down and he's gonna stop him. I could see why people saying Porter's overrated because he beat two junior welterweights. I get that. Okay, I understand that, but and he struggled against Julio Diaz in the first fight. He won the second fight, just like Brook struggled against Carson and got it right in the second fight. But yeah, I just think he's gonna. I think somehow, people discount, Porter's strength as, he's a really strong guy. Even for a 47, he's a strong guy, and Brook is a strong guy too. But I just don't think Brook is gonna be able to fight off the back foot. I think Porter's gonna come and bring pressure early. I think he's going to pressure him, and I think he's going to try to make Brook fight off the back foot. And I think that's going to be the fight. He's going to make him fight off the back foot, and I don't know if Porter's going to be able, that Brook is going to be able to hold him off.
Let's move on to talk about this fight between Figueroa and Estrada. With Brook Porter, I think it's more of a 50-50 fight than you guys. And this one, with Estrada and Figueroa, I'm sorry, I'm not that impressed with Figueroa. He's easily hittable. He can be easily hit, I should say. I don't think he's the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most skilled fighter in the world. His main thing is his power, but I think that can be neutralized with a guy who can box. And I'm inclined, and I'll go to you on this one, Kent. You can follow up, EJ. I'm inclined to pick Estrada here by the upset.
I think Estrada has a very good shot of getting an upset here. Estrada's not well known, but he's the type of fighter that can cause, can upset Figueroa, because we've seen Figueroa completely exposed by Jerry Belmontes. In a fight that Belmonte should have gotten a decision in, he didn't, but he should have gotten a decision. And Figueroa, if Estrada's able to box and to keep Figueroa on the outside, I think he has a shot of winning. But I don't know much about Estrada to personally say that that's what he's going to do. Most Mexican fighters are come forward guys. There are a few that do know how to box well, but I think Estrada's gonna. I think what they're hoping is Figueroa, Haymon and Team Figueroa. They're hoping that this turns into a firefight, and that favors Figueroa. But if Estrada can find a way to box and keep the fight in the middle of the ring and can be effective by keeping him on the outside, he has a shot to win this fight. Other than that, I think Figueroa will win if it turns into a firefight.
I'll go to you on this one, Errol. Are we not giving Figueroa here the credit he deserves, or do you think there's a potential upset here for Estrada? You there, EJ? I guess EJ's left this one.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I had myself on mute. Figueroa is like, for me, Figueroa, good job, good talk. Yeah, Figueroa to me is like Jesse Vargas. Even if he's losing, he'll probably get the decision on cards. Like, he's an all-action fighter. I mean, yeah, like maybe, a lot of people are down him saying he ain't that good and regardless, but I enjoy Figueroa, man. I enjoy watching his fights. He not much for defense. He goes in there, just completely slugging and stuff like that. And to be honest, yeah, he can be beat, but he's the marquee name. He's the marquee name. You have to knock him out and leave him on his back to get a decision against him. So, in my opinion, Figueroa will probably win the fight, and maybe he'll look close doing it. But until someone can come out and just completely finish him off, Figueroa right now, he don't get no credit by people. But in my opinion, I like him, man. I like him. I like his action style. I like guys who come to make the fight. And to be honest with you, in that last fight, the guy was running too much. He didn't deserve to get decision. That's just my opinion. He didn't deserve to get decision because I believe that if you're going to get a belt, you must, bring the fight. Take it from the champion. That's me. I believe in that. And it's the same thing with Durrell and Sakio in the first fight. Same thing. Take it from the champion. So that's my take on it. Figueroa's cool. I'm good with Figueroa. He don't get no respect, but I like him.
Yeah, listen, I have no problem. I have no problem with Figueroa personally. I have no problem with Figueroa as a fighter. I think he's exciting, but there's something like there that tells me that he can lose a fight to an unheralded guy. Somebody that like a guy, a B-level fighter, or a guy that's like Estrada, or he's that type of guy that can lose a fight he's supposed to win.
Yeah, he's vulnerable. He's very vulnerable. The thing is, we know like high class fighters, and Figueroa is not that. But what he does is entertainment, and then the day he brings it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll watch his fights just for the simple fact.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're sport for good fighters all the time. But when we see a fight now, we're like, oh man, he ain't that good. He gets hit too much. It's like a what's his Brandon Reyes? He get hit too much and this that. But man, must watch TV. Like,
I love to see a guy get hit and then come back and hit the other guy.
Exactly. So, in my opinion, unless you leave them guys like a Figueroa, a Brandon Reyes out on their back, then you ain't gonna get the decision, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's excited. Yeah, you're right. But ultimately, he looks, even though he's the market guy, I just think he's vulnerable. He
is vulnerable
in spots on offense and defense, and I think that Estrada is the guy who can take advantage of those spots when Figueroa can possibly get the upset. I go back to you, Errol, and he's going to be fighting Andre Durrell in a rematch on this card. First fight, very good fight. Well, yeah, very good fight for as I'm concerned. Close fight. It was a draw, I believe it was. Coming into this rematch, what do you think are the keys for both Bika and Durrell? What do you think are the keys for each of those fighters to pull out a win this time?
Man, to be honest with you, like, a lot of people thought Durrell won. Me personally, I don't think he won. The draw I was happy with it because I just feel Durrell's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna try not to get hit and try to land bombs. And Sakio is gonna be headhunting him, trying to seek him down. I don't see them changing their strategy. It's just a basic continuation of what we saw last time. And in my opinion, Durrell is to me. I hope he got more respect for Sakio this time because he came in and his crew, they have no respect. They have no respect coming in and nude. And the guy in the background talking the most smack. He's come from beating cancer, right, which is a tremendous thing now. But the way he conducts himself, man, to be honest with you, like, I was happy Sakio won it. Sakio has been through the grind against people like Joe Kawasaki, You know what I'm saying? He's been against tough guys, man. He's been against Andre Ward. You know, he deserves the belt. I'm happy to see the guy have the belt. And if you're going to wear the belt strap, conduct yourself in a certain way. And to me, he doesn't deserve it. And I don't think he deserved to take the belt. I don't think that the key to strategy, I don't think them changing much. Jarrod is what he is. He's just going to try and knock your head off. Sakio Bika's going to come in and hit him low and try to elbow him. And probably he's just going to more. They're just going to, you know what I'm saying? You're just going to get more of what you saw before. The only thing Jarrod, if he really wants to, he needs to cement himself and push Sakio Bika backwards to try and beat him. And Sakio Bika needs to more or less do the same thing. Stay close and just keep whacking into the body because Jarrod doesn't like it. You don't like it. He come like he's a pretty boy. His brother, if his brother was in the ring, it would be completely different now. The other brother is something else, right? But in this fight here, Sakio beat the brakes out of that boy. He ain't got no respect, man. The dog Jarrod. I don't like him. That's just my opinion. I don't like him. He's in I for London over in the UK. They talk to his hype man in the background, and he's the one barking in the background. You know, obviously making the dog noises and stuff like that. And I can't stand that. I remember Bondini used to do it with Muhammad Ali, but it was cool, man. Like floating up us, thing like a bee. But this bread's barking.
See, hype man. This is the thing with hype man. There's a certain way of doing it. If you do it stupidly, no one's gonna like it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like there's a couple guys who do it. Like when today, like for example, the Durrell guy is just like
he's good with it. I like Crocodile though. He's not. I like Crocodile. He's not offensive though. He just basically speaks like how great his fighter is. He's not disrespectful with it. But go on, and you were saying about hype man.
Yeah, well, a lot of hype men in the game, they it takes there's a lot of them out there, you got like a guy like, what's his name? He's from out in Northern California. He's a hype guy. I forgot his name off the top of my head. He has fighters.
Yeah, you talking about the one who used to work for Vargas, Fernando Vargas, right?
No.
Okay. But I know what you're talking about. But he's hype man. That guy is fairly young. He's disrespectful. He's new and just you ain't this and you ain't that. He's like, nah, man.
I'm not into those hype men. If you just doing like the right things, then that's fine. But like if you're getting out of line, like there's no reason to
The guy's out of pocket, man. He's already saying and Jarrod himself in the press conference. The press conference this couple of hours ago, by the way, over here, I've just seen it. And basically, the press conference is Jarrod saying, why are you even talking? No one even understands you. And the guy's come from another country, even though he's in Australia. He's got African accent, and he's disrespectful, man. He's so disrespectful. He's come back fighting cancer, and you think, like, he's not carrying himself like Davis.
Yeah, I agree. You show some, like, humility or something.
Yeah, man. You just beat cancer, man.
Listen, people don't understand. Listen. Sakio Bika, first of all, he's from Cameroon.
Yeah,
but he lives in Australia, okay? Yeah. He's not going to speak perfect English, okay? He has a thick accent, okay? And a lot of people in America think that's stupidity, which it isn't. It really isn't. It's just that narrow-minded view.
And the thing is, that's what Jarrell's bringing. He's bringing that. I'm not going to call him fuck, because I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to bring, like you said, narrow-minded views that, to be honest with you, I don't associate myself with people like that. And you have more respect for the people you're fighting. Bondini and all them guys, with like Muhammad Ali, the fighter himself used to disrespect the other fighter. That's fine. But not the hype man. The hype man is disrespecting Bika, plus the road disrespecting Bika, and Bika's acting like a mature guy, and I want Bika to beat his ass again.
You know what? If you see, I feel like Bika's gonna win the fight. I really, I just think he's too experienced. I do agree with EJ. We're gonna see the same. We're gonna see the same pattern. We're not gonna see anything different.
Yeah.
I think Jarrell just wants to go in there and bomb Bika out, but people don't realize Bika has a very good chin. You're gonna have to really hit him to knock him out. And I have never listen. the only time I've seen him really hurt in a fight was against Jadon Codrington, but he got off the deck and knocked Codrington out.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to really do something to really hurt him. He's a very sturdy guy. He's a very determined guy. He's a very strong guy, and he can punch.
He's a deserving champion. And he needs, and he might have Archie Moore and them old guys there. Like, it's not the sort of guy, you basically getting in there with that young guy. The young guy is coming in with no respect, and the old guy is coming in there, he's going to teach him a lesson, and hopefully he does again. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know, Bika doesn't have the skill of like an Archie Moore, but I do see the parallel you're making. Definitely.
Old guy, you think Jarrod came in there, you thought he knocked him down, not Archie Moore down, he thought he had it, and the next thing you know he came back. And Zaki Bika has that. Because Zaki Bika in the last, after the fight, in the first fight, came back strong.
I thought he won the second half of the fight. I thought Jarrod dominated.
He got points deducted from him for low blows though, isn't it? Jarrod complaining about to the referee, he was doing that. I ain't gonna say like a bitch, but I didn't like the way he was just complaining all the time. I was like, come on, man, like act like a man, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. It was a tough fight. Two warriors going in there, and he was complaining about low blows.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, listen. I you know what it is? I think Anthony Durrell is a guy who thinks he can complain his way out of things, but when it comes down to it, it's going to be just you and the other guy. And I feel like this time, I think Bika wins. I think he wins. I wouldn't even be surprised if he stopped Durrell.
I was going to say that too. I think that Bika stops him late. I think you mentioned the experience. I just think the overall physical strength and toughness of Bika will take over in this bout. I think he will. I just don't see what Durrell has, strength and power-wise, to hold a Bika off, who's very strong, who can punch a bit, and who's very experienced at fighting a physical style of fight. I just don't know what Durrell would present to hold him off, and I think he will just overall use that to maul and brawl and just outwork and out-physical Bika, out-physical Durrell, and stop him possibly between, I say, within the 8-10 round range.
I'm going to go a little further. I'm going to say between rounds 9 and 12. I think the thing with Durrell is he tends to get off to a really good start, a fast start, but when he starts getting into the trenches in the later part of the fight, he starts wearing down. I think if that was a 15-round fight, the last fight, he would have knocked him. Bika would have knocked him cold.
Yeah. I would have liked that. You know, that's the men's round. That's the man's men. So boxing was hard. 15 rounds. Oh shit! He would have got beat up.
Yeah, in the second half of that fight, Durrell got beat up. You could see he was like a couple punches away from being dropped. He couldn't hold him off, and I think this time Bika gets it right. He stops him.
I don't know why they got, because I can see why Bika didn't want the rematch. Because I don't fight that great rude wrong way. But the bottom line is they've got the rematch, and Bika's like, well, man, you talking more jive. I'm gonna enjoy beating you. And bro wants to think, man, he got no respect. This guy can't even speak English. The stuff he was saying, I was like, man, you know, you're another brother. You know, people watching that. What do you think people are thinking about you, man? You sound real dumb right now. You know, you sound real dumb.
I heard all that, and I thought it was quite ignorant from.
Yeah, it is quite ignorant. And the thing is, I don't know. You know what I mean? You, like, no one taught. And the thing is, people in this corner, all right, you're trying to dog another fight, but you're coming up with some real greasy stuff right now. But the thing is, a lot of young guys have that mentality. I talk to some people in America, and they have that mentality of thinking that way. And when I see Bika put it on him, I think, yeah, good. You know, share him a lesson, keep your mouth shut. You should have more respect for people. You know what I'm saying? And any day, hopefully, like in that fight, because a lot of people, I had another guy on another YouTube come out and say, oh man, Jarrod will beat his ass. Bika shouldn't deserve to have the belt. He should keep losing. I was like, man.
Yeah, I heard. You know what the funny thing was? Like, people give Bika no respect whatsoever. This man was a prize fighter champion. This guy's a world champion. You know,
he's Olympian as well. He fought in Olympian.
Yeah, and he's just so he's so disrespected.
And he's a nice guy as well.
He's not a bad fighter. And he's proven himself on this level. He's proven
he doesn't
himself.
have the thing with folks who say that look at boxing in a style versus substance context. They look at Bika and they say he's a bit crude, he's a bit rough around the edges. But when you really step back and analyze him,
but it
he
works
does a lot of subtle things. Right, he does a lot of subtle things in there, and for the most part, he gets the job done. And even when he fights the best fighters and loses, he gives them all tough fights, and for that alone, he has to be respected.
Respected, man. He gave.
Listen. He gave Joe Calzaghe a tough fight. He gave Sean Boutte a tough fight. He gave Andre Ward a tough fight.
That's right. I absolutely agree. He gave them the hardest fight. Joe Calzaghe doesn't say. He said Eubank gave his hard fight. For me, I say Sakio Bika gave him his hardest fight. Sakio Bika put it on him. You know what I'm saying? He's lucky he came out there with his life. And Sakio Bika was younger then, and then he put it on He put it on Andre. He put it on Ward. He put it on him, and he put it on Jarrod. The only thing is he's a bit older now, so I don't know. Hopefully, he can still.
But I think what he's, even though he's always been slow. So whatever I think the fact that he has Kevin Cunningham, I think he's taught him a few things, like to use his timing more. That's where I think he's become most effective when.
I'm happy Kevin Cunningham was there because Kevin Cunningham was good with Spinks, and he's good with them. We're good with what's his name, Devin Alexander as well. So hopefully that might sharpen him up in terms of his combinations and stuff like that. But was Kevin Cunningham in his corner last time though? Was he in his corner? He wasn't in his corner last time.
Yeah, he was in his corner the first fight.
Okay, he was. Okay, yeah. But
he is a sharper fighter now that he's older. He's not the same guy. Like he's sharp. He does like subtle things that work. Like people don't realize it watching a fight, but it works. Like his style works to his benefit because look at when he fought Darrell the first time. Darrell was really cautious to go in there and try to do something, like to try to go in there and rough him up. He tried doing that and he found out it didn't work.
That's what I'm saying to you. He's going to be on the back, but you can't keep running from Bika. Eventually you're going to have to stand, and like you said, he's got a good chin, and then he's a deserving world champion. When it's all said and done, that man deserves to have the world belt. And I tell you what, yeah, George Groves is the matchery for that belt, right? He should have been James DeGale, but George Groves is going to be the matchery for that belt. And I tell you what, mate, George Groves would prefer to fight Bika than he would fight Jarrod. I can tell you that.
You know why? Because I'll tell you this. The thing with Groves is, even though he got knocked out twice by Carl Frock, which is no shame whatsoever, at the end of the day, he's still a very good fighter. And I think it would be an easier fight would be for Groves.
Exactly. It would be the easier fight with Bika stylistically than it would be with Jarrod. But Jarrod, like I just don't see it. I see his brother is something different though, man. His brother is so.
Oh, his brother's a much better fighter. I think
his brother fighting this fight, it'd be a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. He'll just be. His brother is just the Matrix. Is exactly what he is, man. He's a boggart. He's a bag of tricks. And the thing is, you think his brother would adapt that, but the dog is what it is. He likes to come there and fight and talk greasy. Even though they're twins, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they have completely different styles.
They're two different styles and two different personalities.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are exactly that. They are exactly. You know what I'm saying? But we shall see. Hopefully,
I'm looking. That fight right there could steal the show to me. Like out of all the fights, that could steal the show.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be a thingy fight, man. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be the same as the thing. The last fight wasn't. I must watch it again. I just like Bika putting it on him. It's just gonna be one day you're just gonna enjoy. I'm just gonna enjoy Bika putting it on him because he talks.
Yeah, I think Bika knocks him out. This time. Yeah. And if I'll give Darrell all the credit in the world if he finds a way to outbox him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to shut the show down on that note. I'm going to put out a little bit of warning. We might not be back for a couple of weeks, mainly because there's no noteworthy bouts of boxing. Besides,
what are you talking about? There's no noteworthy fights. There's loads of fights coming, man.
But not that great. Look, okay, let's go. We can go there the 23rd that week. Javier Mendoza against Roman Herrera. Who's going to pay attention to that fight? Mike Jones, welterweight.
Austin Trout's fighting on Friday at ESPN, right?
That's this week. So, hey, season finale.
Which week?
Well, he's going to be fighting the season finale, but it's a wait and see with him coming off of his loss. After that, on the 30th, I'm sorry, Marco Huck. Okay, we may talk about, but we may talk about that. But put it this way. Okay, let me. I'm gonna shut it down right here.
That's what. What dates are you saying you're not going to be here?
I might be back the next couple of weeks, but besides, I want to get ready for the week of September 5th. Let me put it right here and just shut the conversation down. Yagashi Roman Gonzalez, that's going to be on the 5th. On that card, Inoue, he's going to be fighting Koike Jim. Inoue, maybe the hottest young prospect in the world right now. On September 6th, Adrian Broner, he's going to be fighting Lucas Matisse. They're going to be fighting on the same card. Juan Diaz is going to be fighting that same night. Klitschko is going to be fighting that night. Also, Juan Francisco Estrada, Giovanni Segura, Chico Martinez, Frampton rematch. Do I need to say more?
I'm just saying there's other fights happening during the week before that. Like you said, the Marco Hooks fight happened Saturday. There's no major fights, but there's fights happening.
But that doesn't. It does not compare to September 5th and September 10th. And also on September 10th, Ahmad Rumroy is going to be fighting his mandatory. I want to prepare for that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
All right, cool. I'm covering. All right, cool, man. All right, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree with you on that point.
So
there's not no major thing happening, but like you said, there's not no major American thing. But there's fights in the week, but like you said, it's sporadic. I understand that. September.
Yeah, listen, everything that's coming up is really small, and usually the 2 weeks before September, it's really light. Anyway, that's how it's always been these last couple of years.
We forgot to cover the Yo Pablo Hernandez fight in Germany. It's happening on Saturday as well. He's fighting he's defending his belt. His IBF cruiserweight belt. He's happening on Saturday as well.
Well, when we come back in late August, early September, we'll probably talk about all those fights in the interim. But I really want to prepare for boxing that's going on down on the 5th. On September 6th, as well as on September 10th, with Rumroy fighting his mandatory.
And then the 13th, don't forget the 13th. Don't forget the 13th.
Mayweather Maidana rematch. Scott Quigg is going to be fighting that night too. So the next early to mid-September is going to be huge, and I want to prepare myself fully for those cards. And before we head out, this is kind of a ritual here, Errol. For those who want to talk about boxing, for those who want to find you, talk about boxing and whatnot, let the folks know where they can find you.
EJ Boxing Live. Yeah, that's my YouTube. Sorry, that's my YouTube handle. That's it. I'm on Twitter. Errol Jarrett. Errol Jarrett. So you can find me there. And hopefully, guys, I'll follow you on Twitter if you follow me. And definitely on thing. Check out my YouTube channel. All right.
All right. Thanks for being on. And hopefully, me and Kit, myself, can be on your boxing shows. I know you do a lot of boxing shows on YouTube.
I got one this Saturday. Yeah, I got one Saturday, but that's 2 hours before the fight, and I got a weekend wrap up on Sunday. So I invite you guys, if you're available, jump on, man.
Try to reach out to us Sunday night. We'll probably be available. Kent, you know the ritual. Let the folks know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can reach me at facebook.com/kent.ayers.1. That's where you can reach me to talk boxing. I just wanted to comment. I read that comment on YouTube. I feel bad for them if they really believe that about Canelo Alvarez, and that's you can have that opinion. That's wonderful. That's what makes boxing so great. You can have an opinion. We don't share your opinion, and most people who say stuff like that usually get paid no mind. But you know what? I'm going to say this. With boxing, it's subjective. You can have any opinion you want. Doesn't mean me and Mike agrees with it, or anybody else who comes on the show has to agree with it. But if your goal was to be a troll and to try to be funny,
which I think it was,
and if he wants to be funny, that's fine. But it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. Sorry.
Yeah, and if you want to find me on Talk Boxing and whatnot, y'all know where it is. Two main places to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report: P4PBoxingReport.wordpress.com. That's the blog page. P4PBoxingReport.podomatic.com. That's the podcast page. Both of those pages you can find information on where find everything Pound for Pound Boxing Report on the social media, on the interwebs, YouTube, Google+, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Facebook. RSS feed to download or subscribe to. Stitcher Radio, as well as the link to donate your account. Or you can also hit me up on my personal stuff, MICWILJR, Brother JR, my handle. With that, I think we're going to shut down the show. In the show tonight was a pretty long show, close to 2 hours actually. Wow. I want to thank EJ Arrow EJ Boxing Live again for joining me this week. For my guest EJ, for my co-host Kent. I am Michael, and this has been another episode of
too. Sorry about the
and Shawn, sorry for the delay. We had some little echoes.
We love you, man. Thank you for coming on.
He had some echoes on. He had some echo on his part. We had to shut him down, close him out. For Shawn as well. This has been another episode of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. We will see you next time. Good night.
All right, guys. Peace, man. Catch you guys later.